Okay, guys, I want to do an example for you guys of completing the square, factoring, and quadratic equation. So when we have quadratics, of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, we have 3 ways to solve. So we've got factoring. When that works, that's my go-to. When that doesn't work, you can either do completing the square, or you can do quadratic formula. Now keep in mind that the quadratic formula works every time, all right? So you can just choose to do that every time, all right? Don't stress. But let me show you these other ways because they can be pretty cool. So I've kind of moved around an example from your book, but we're going to do, from your homework, we're going to do this problem. X squared minus 12x, and let's just say that it equals negative 32. Okay, so step 1, it needs to equal 0. So step 1, I'm going to add the 32 to both sides, and I'm going to get x squared minus 12x plus 32. And now I'm going to try to factor this, okay? So the way that I factor it is that I multiply a, which is the number in front of the x squared, which is 1, times c, which is that 32, and I get 32. And then I take the b, the number in the middle, and I put that on the bottom. And now I'm looking for 2 numbers that can multiply to make me 32, but add or subtract to make that 12. Okay, and the reason I say add or subtract is right now I'm not thinking about if they're negative or not. Okay, multiply to make 32. There's 16 and 2, but that's not going to get me 12. 8 and 4 might. 8 and 4 can add to get 12. Now I told you guys the bigger number here always follows the bottom number. So negative 8. And then if I want to multiply these to get a positive 32, the 4 is also going to have to be negative. Okay, and now I can see negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. These 2 numbers are it. They go in parentheses with my variable x. And now I can set them each equal to 0 to solve. That gets me that x equals 8 and x equals 4, 2 answers. Okay, that's how we did that with factoring. So this was factoring. Now let's do it with completing the square. So with completing the square, I want this x squared minus 12x to have this perfect magical number here that allows me to factor this into a perfect square, into a perfect something that looks like this, parentheses x with something squared. I want this to factor like this did, but with the same number in both spots, okay? There's only one way that can happen. To find that magical number, we first divide this number, the negative 12, by 2. So we divide this number by 2. And what we get is negative 6, and we jot it down on the next step, okay? That negative 6 is going to be what this will factor to. You'll see. Now, this negative 6 that I got, I have to square it and write it down in this spot. All right, so negative 6 squared is 36. So I'm going to say plus 36 here. But I cannot just add 36 to this side of this equation. I have to balance it by also adding 36 to the other side. Okay? Now, what I have done is created this perfect equation right here that if I were to factor this, if you want to check it out, use this technique to factor this, you will get x minus 6 times x minus 6. Okay? That's what you'll get. You'll get x minus 6 times x minus 6, which is x minus 6 squared. That's why we did all this, to strategically make this factor into, and here's why we wrote the minus 6 down on the next step, x minus 6 squared. So now this side right here, x squared minus 12x plus 36, just factors to become x minus 6 squared. And then this other side will become negative 32 plus 36. It'll become 4. Okay? And now I can just square root both sides. And ding, 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 ding. Don't forget the alarm. When you square root both sides, you end up with a plus or minus. Okay? On this side, the radical and the square just cancel out, and I get x minus 6. And then on this side, the square root of 4, that's 2. But plus or minus 2. So now I have x is equal to positive 2 plus 6, because I have to add the 6 to both sides. Or I have that x equals negative 2 plus 6. So it's either 8 or it's 4. Okay? And look at that, the same answers. All right? And finally, let's do this with quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. All right. So, like I said, I like to do b squared minus 4ac first. So, I go to the equation. Oh, I don't even have the equation written down here. Let's write it down again. It was x squared minus 12x plus 32 equals 0. So for quadratic formula, just like with factoring, it must equal 0. Okay, so b squared, so let's quickly write down that a is 1, b is negative 12, and c is 32. So b squared is negative 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 32. So this is 144 minus, and then 4 times 32 is 128. And then this will be 144 minus 128 will be 16. Yeah, I think it is 16. So b squared minus 4ac is 16. That means this part right here under this radical is just 16. So I'm going to go throw it in. X equals negative b, so negative 12, that's positive 12, plus or minus the square root of 16, all divided by 2 times a, which is 1. And to simplify this, square root of 16 is 4, plus or minus 12, all over 2. Now this is 2 different problems that I have to do in 2 different steps. It's 12 plus 4 divided by 2, and it's 12 minus 4 divided by 2. 12 plus 4 is 16, divided by 2 is 8. 12 minus 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. Holy moly, look at that. The same 2 answers. This is just 3 different ways of solving these quadratic bad boys, okay? That's it. I hope that helps. Please ask me more and more questions if it doesn't.